Oh, good morning, good evening, and good night. Welcome to...
Are we done already?
Yeah, we're rifling through this live stream.
Man, that went quick.
Welcome to week number 6 here on the CBTC live stream here once again at the Glenview Club, hosting a Series 3 match between... this is definitely going to be the Glenview Club on one side, and then Northmoor Series 3
Northmoor's on the near side, Coach.
Yeah.
You betcha.
And I'm, of course, Matt McClure alongside Sean Albrecht, Cal Noble, and Jason Love making an appearance. And this evening with us tonight in the booth for some little bit of technical talk, we have an illustrious Dr. McCall from IBJI. Always nice to get sponsor represenation to help us work through
educated
those.
sponsor.
Now that I'm 6 weeks in, almost every part of
get it right.
Yeah. Now that I'm 6 weeks in, almost every part of my body hurts. So I'm so glad that you're here.
That's pretty standard for this sport.
It's the way that it goes.
I'm glad to be here with you guys. Happy to give any medical commentary. If a player goes down, I'm available.
Wow.
And if I can give any technique tips for the players, I'm happy to offer that.
You absolutely should. Yeah, that's a level of service that, we just don't deserve. If a player goes down and you happen to be here, that's going to be an incredible moment.
I had that happen last season. I was serving first game, first set at Sunset, and this guy on the next court goes down, and he's, writhing in pain. And, I could tell it's his Achilles. And I had to say, in the middle of the game, hey, guys, I got to stop. I got to go look at this guy. And I helped him off the court and put him in the hut and I put some ice on it. I said, I'll be back here after this match and tell you what you have going on. And we were able to get him into the office, got his surgery done.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So every so often you happen to be of service. I always joke when things like that happen, I'm a pretty good third responder. I'm not the good first responder. No. So.
Yeah, well, you see somebody in pain like that, you have to deal with it because of the hypocritical oath.
Yeah, there's some oath that we took someday. It was mostly in Latin, so nobody really understands.
Hospitable. And we were talking that the Glenview Club is the most hospitable club, not just in Gulf, Illinois, which is where we are, lovely, historic landmark-laden Gulf, Illinois, but they're the most... not just because we can get into a really nice booth to get to broadcast from, and I'm going to call it a broadcast again, Cal, sorry.
No, you can't.
That's just me.
Everybody loves broadcast.
Yeah, broadcast is fine.
I thought I was on a podcast.
They're the only...
Well, depending on where we choose to, throw these episodes out.
Exactly.
That's totally fine.
All right, well, the match is underway here. It is, it's either
or
that
15
off. Yeah. You want to close the door, really? You got it. There we go.
30.
Is that better?
Sean, you want to introduce our players?
Actually, I would love to do that.
The bus,
that lefty, well, look at lefty to lefty.
Yeah.
Talk about stylish. Anyway, on the near side in that brown T-shirt, that's Jake Croce. He is not only an instructor but a general manager at Northmoor. So he's wearing a lot of hats out there, even though he's not wearing any. So there's that. And then we call him D Fish. At least I figured that out 15 minutes ago. But that's Derek Fish. That's his partner, and they're playing for the Northmoor seafaring sailors. I don't know what to call them. Are they? That's what we call them. I'm just thinking of maybe they're all going to a shot. Anyway, and they're taking on Cameron Slabbert, who is one of the preeminent assistant pros here at the lovely Glenview Club.
Ooh.
And Chris Williams, who just faulted, but he doesn't do that very often, with the Toledo. Is that a mud hen shirt?
First time this season, actually.
It is a mud hen shirt. That's in there.
Oh, he got it.
Wow. Probably could have. You know what? Most people don't like to lob the ball.
Catching the line.
And neither does Chris. May even take the guitar playing out of this thing. But as I was saying, they're very hospitable here at the Glenview Club. Because as fat as I am, they'll allow me to ask for another burger. They won't give me one. But they'll at least let me just...
Oh, that's my fault, Sean. I cut you off. Remember a couple weeks ago when you flipped out? I was like, just don't give him a second one.
Is that burger humor?
Yeah.
No.
That's the way it goes.
Anyway, so that Northmoor takes the first game, and Jake's going to lead us off, so to speak, or lead them off, because let's not be, biased here. And, Doc, if you see anything, that kind of strikes you that maybe they shouldn't be doing, or physically or mentally, maybe even, you feel free to chime right in. That isn't a problem. Go ahead.
No, I'm here for color commentary, medical advice.
You also bring the general dress code up in the booth about five
there's
notches.
no question about it.
I did just come from the office.
You are
I'm still wearing a
sharply
tie.
I feel more insecure than I normally do.
I have some stuff that I want to run past you that I think is just sort
Love
of
the
a,
move.
a
He's
general.
there.
As usual.
Nice pick.
Nice scoop.
Yeah. Croce's got some speed, man. That was impressive. I've really never seen him play. Go
I
ahead.
keep telling Matt to make an appointment, and then he just keeps bringing me in on these
Yeah, I'm
broadcasts
just like,
and
hey,
saying,
if you
"Hey,
can make
Doc,
the
what do you
live
think of this?"
stream.
I'm like, "I'm not that kind of doctor. I can't help you with that rash.
She's at least
Stay away from that girl."
at least do it.
Well, my wife
FaceTime.
doesn't watch the live stream, so at
thank
least
God.
we're going to be fine there. No, I meant more on the philosophical level. Like one of the
very
things
good.
that kind of comes up is high-level athletes are sort of pushing their body exceptionally hard to maybe do
Yes.
some things that is on the extremes of kind of what maybe you should be doing physically.
Yeah.
Right. And so I guess my curiosity is kind of at what point do you draw the line, or where do you maybe tell players based on
Good hands.
that level of wear and
Touch.
tear. Oh, so close around the net post. Where do you tell players based on that level of wear and tear of where they should sort of draw their own personal line, or where they should make adjustments?
Yeah, that's a really poignant question and difficult when you're looking at guys that are either playing at very
try.
top level or are doing this for a living. Some of the guys that we end up seeing are pros, and it's hard to keep doing this day in, day out without things going awry. So, the easiest old saying, within orthopedics is if you can play, you play. If you can't play, you rehab. If you can't rehab, then it might be time to fix something. And that's a simplification. But there are times where there are limits on what the human body can do, and there are ways that you can overload what you were built with, and there are lots of techniques to try to calm things down. But we're still, kind of human beings. So we don't have any magic. We get a lot of questions. There seem to be a lot of ads out there about stem cells and growth factors, and most of those are magic beans that don't really go anywhere.
Are there any new techniques or I don't want to say prescriptions because we're not advocating pharmaceuticals, but is there anything that you can speak to where, this seems to be, we have some success with this technique, or anything from since last year?
There are
because
things
technology seems to keep just moving.
They're the tried and true things that you typically rely upon that are gold standard treatments.
Like crystals?
Yeah, exactly. Mostly incantations. But there are lots of cutting-edge things that are available. The hardest thing in all reality is when somebody wants to undertake some of those treatments, a lot of times because they're more experimental, they're not paid for by insurance. So there's a balance there, that you have to go over with patients. There's some money that could come out of your pocket here,
Sure.
and no guarantee that
Speaking
it
of
works.
beans, yes.
Yeah.
I was also going to ask, is there something is there a number? But I remember last year, I think I asked you whether there was a number one injury. Is there something that comes through your door more than any other, especially where
if I'm
platforms
looking at paddle players specifically,
brain damage.
psychological trauma.
Yeah.
I lost 6060, and my ego is here in this cart.
Is there a way you can go in and reattach my integrity?
Yeah. So I usually break it down to they're the overuse things that are more like the tendonitis around the elbow and around the shoulder.
Okay.
And the traumatic things that are kind of the tear of the calf muscle, tear of the Achilles, tear of the plantar fascia.
Oh, yeah.
All of those are really common around this sport. And then, every so often you get a sprinkling of things that happen to people whenever they're running and cutting. So ACLs and meniscus tears and things like that. Fortunately, most of us don't hurt ourselves really badly with this. We can make things sore. I was literally talking to another paddle player, a guy from Sunset, as I drove here, who was, at the end of his rode with a bum knee, and it started when he was playing high school basketball, and he's had a bunch of treatments, and he's at a point where he's like, I just need to get this fixed because I can't play paddle, I can't golf, And so, you tend to take a gradated approach, start with the simple things, and you can always escalate into bigger things. But I think we need to talk more about these paddle players.
Well, I was just going to say, this is a heck of a rally.
Out here.
This is an awesome rally.
Yeah, a lot of transitions.
Sometimes it's just shot selection. Take my word for it.
Nice.
Because Jake, he can pull that off. He probably thinking he probably could have lobbed that ball. But it looks like Cam's looking to hold here. I should say Cam and Chris. Get over. No, and of course I jinx him. What kind of a commentator does that? I'm telling you, those rom-com lights help the ad side.
They really do.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you get more viewing
it
from
kind of
the ad
changes
side.
your depth perception a little bit.
I mean, maybe it's just me.
The ball is more illuminated on the hut side ad court.
I feel more comfortable over there.
That's just because you've watched Notting Hill 105 times.
Yeah, it's true. I don't care. I'm not ashamed of it. Kind of. All right, good breeze.
It is worth mentioning that it is quite breezy out there tonight.
And warm.
And I don't know how much you can see any stuff around the court. It's not really moving around. You can see a little bit on our tripod, on the overhead view that we do have that thing staked into the ground, and it's still
moving
got
around.
a little sway to it. Yeah, I mean, there are some gusts that are really moving the ball around. So I would expect that to be a little factor in the match tonight. You're going to see a few random lobs kind of spray in some direction. Because the breeze picks up. But
it'll be interesting, actually, Coach, as we go into the weekend for Chicago Charities, which will be held here over the weekend, which is pretty much the biggest tournament.
Oh, is that this weekend? I was supposed to go to a wedding, but, I can cancel. It's all right, fine. We'll live stream it instead.
All right. And
here you go.
But there'll be a contrast because right now, what is it, 73 degrees right now? I'm just trying to think. It's definitely warm weather paddle. Extremely warm weather paddle.
Good. Check it off the list in your bingo card at home.
Exactly.
Warm weather paddle.
Or say it one more
I'm
time.
going to pass off my headset to the illustrious Jason Love, who's going to announce this match while I take care of some admin.
Well, then I don't have to behave anymore. Good.
No.
Absolutely.
Jason just lets the safeties totally come off. So
look at this shot. Speed. Yes.
Oh, tweener.
Oh, unbelievable. C-dub. Just going to ask about the possible injuries.
It's more of a urologic issue if something goes bad there.
That's where shot selection does come into play. But what I was going to say is, Doc, do you think you see more, or you probably see more injuries during colder weather? Because it's okay. I was going to say.
I think one of the sort of truisms of paddle is most of us are not in the prime of our young life anymore. It's played, at night in cold weather, and
totally.
Not enough warm up for most of us.
Exactly.
And for some of those bigger injuries and sudden catastrophic injuries, there's no amount of warm up that will keep you totally safe. I was seeing somebody the other week that had torn their Achilles playing paddle, and they said, "What could I have done to prevent this?" And a lot of the times you can't necessarily.
Not play.
Yeah, exactly. If you were in the chess club instead of in athletics, sometimes that'll happen. But in general, if you're trying to minimize your risk for injury, get out a little bit earlier. Get a nice warm up in, and then try to stretch once you're warm.
Anything in particular? Sorry, Jay, did I just cut you off there, buddy?
I was going to make a joke.
Are you
keep
rolling?
going with the serious stuff.
That's all right.
Yeah.
We're rolling. Well, I was going to say, is there anything in particular, this is your perfect person to ask, because you being a platform tennis player on your own. Yeah. Is there anything that you'd recommend after?
Yeah, again, just get something to get the blood flowing, whether that's getting on an exercise bike, getting on an elliptical, running a little bit on a treadmill, then stretching out the calves and the Achilles.
Sure.
Stretch out your hamstring. those are the things that I would recommend for any paddle player looking not to see me in the office.
Waist down.
I mean, I think we need to give a shout out at that point to Scott Bondurant, who's been running laps through Paddle Hut parking lots for 20 years, maybe more. Actually, I'm going to say 40 years, Scott.
And apparently it's working. Has not had a problem. It doesn't seem to have many injuries.
No, what also helps when you pick partners that are also in their 20s.
If you can get the young guy to chase down all the balls,
Yeah.
it can save you from injury as well.
What's funny, and I'm sure Coach Jason could probably even speak to this more, the better you get at this game, the less you may have to move.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, if you're doing it right, it's like a two-step game, right?
Yes.
You know, but at the same time, every once in a while you go to the wrong spot and you got to hit the gas.
Yeah.
And push off real quick. Question, and this might be a silly question, but everybody loves the Achilles calf roller in the Paddle Hut. Does that actually do anything?
Like the foam roller type thing?
No, the one that looks like a half a moon that you see the guys like, and they walk around the hut and they go,
it's no better than any other technique. If it reminds you to go and do the stretch, it's worthwhile, but you can do that off of a step. You can do that leaning into the wall. There are tilt boards you can do the same thing with. But yeah, that little blue half moon guy, it's in every paddle hut.
Like
you can get them off of Amazon, folks at home, if you want your own version of it.
That thing has been the bane of my existence for 20 years because everybody freaks out when they don't see where it is. And they're like, where is it? Where's the...
Yeah.
Good to know. So you can use any step.
You can hang it off a step. You can lean into a wall. Remember, your Achilles has 3 different muscles there, so you want to stretch it with your knee straight, and then you want to stretch it with your knee bent, so you get the soleus in addition to the medial lateral gastroc, guys. That's my personal tip for you at home.
There are, and most of them are runners that do this, but they will put a soft cast. Wow.
Watch out.
He got all of that one.
You think he was going for the head there, or what?
Tears in his eyes.
Good thing we got a doc in the house.
Yeah. He really should play with Dr. Beeper in this. So, but is there? A lot of these runners will wear kind of a soft kind of boot, and I know this sounds really weird. Maybe they're just making this up, just to keep their feet in a certain position
when
while
they're sleeping.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a little bit better for like plantar fasciitis.
Oh, okay.
Or for people that have kind of a lower part of like a chronic Achilles tendonitis.
Got it.
So when we sleep, you kind of relax all your muscles, and the resting position is that your feet are kind of pointing down a little bit more.
Yes.
A second tweener attempt. Unbelievable.
Wow. Go to the well.
Yeah, so if you can stretch it while you're sleeping, it can help a little bit.
Got it.
The issue with that is only about 50% of people who try those can tolerate sleeping. So if it's waking up all night, it doesn't get used very long. I'm going to turn the tables on you guys and ask a paddle tennis player.
Darn it, I had a few more
here.
Q&A ready for you.
Well, I've got all night.
Okay.
So
Dang, that's my line. I'm here all weekend.
I'm looking at our studs out there from Northmoor,
yes.
and I'm seeing sort of a Drew Broderick kind of formation. We got a lefty in the ad corner. As paddle professionals, what are your thoughts here? That's a formidable pairing, but
Jay, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I personally love it. And here's why. So I'm a numbers guy, right? So if 75% of all players are right-handed, and let's just say 80 to 85% of all play goes to the ad court, guess what's now over there for every overhead?
Forehand every single time,
right? So I think that coupled with most club level players hit not nearly enough balls down the middle of the court, so there's not really a weakness.
A pickup.
And you're just exposing someone else's weakness to your strength, right? So to me, I personally love it.
You like to stick somebody who's got a strong backhand there then too, so you get a little offense down the middle?
Absolutely.
Well,
but I'll use this one too. So look, lefties are often given the short stick, and they're treated like second-class citizens.
Who's insulting lefties here?
No, I'm saying they often are.
I'm just saying.
All volunteer.
If I'm getting to play ad, I love having a lefty in the deuce.
As long as I'm involved, I'll volunteer to
my
abuse
point
the lefties.
is historically lefties have only or majority of the time played the deuce court.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas righties play both sides and nobody thinks anything of it. But
100%.
why does a lefty have to play that side?
Yep.
Right. So I had a lady the other day ask me, or she said to me, I said, you two lefties are going to play together. And she looked at me like I was speaking a different language. And I'm like, you're right. I'm totally sorry. Could you imagine if I had asked two righties to play together? Like, can you imagine that? And she kind of chuckled but didn't really get the joke.
Right.
But the point is it doesn't matter whether you're lefty or righty. If your strength is to play that side, play that side.
No, I think of most lefties as an asset to any team I've ever been on. And it makes sense to put them in the ad with better defensive capabilities there.
Totally agree. As probably I'm going to take a chance and say that I'm the oldest guy in the Del Webb community, if we had to have a comparison here of ages. But when I first started playing platform, you really weren't driving the backhand on a regular basis.
Oh.
So it wasn't as big a deal, but I think you touched on it, Daco. Anything down the middle, nowadays there are people that hit two-handed backhand drives as well as they do the forehand side. Mm-hmm. So every so often it might make sense, even if you play a team that is really good about resetting down the middle, you're still going to get a drive or two, because if you've got two backhands down the middle, especially if one of them's real strong, one of them could step over and hit it on a regular basis. So it's not like you're losing the ability to drive with anything up the middle, is the point I was making in my long-winded way.
No, and look, I try to teach and coach based on what's better for us as opposed to weaker for them, right? So the focus is on our side of the net. So, look, generally everybody's forehand screens are better. So if you've got a lefty and you know that 80+% of the play is going to go to the ad court, why wouldn't you put him on that side where now he's hitting forehand lobs?
Yep.
Plus his forehand drive, et cetera. So I think to me that's a big part of it. I loved your point about the two-handed backhand. I mean, Mike Raleigh and I talk about this all the time. We used to teach literally, if the ball came to your backhand, don't under any circumstance do anything except lob the ball.
Exactly.
And if people put two hands on the paddle, granted this was a long time ago, so 20 years ago, we'd be like, what are you doing? Take your other hand off, and you have to lob it. But now it's really not the case, you know. And I give a big credit. One of the first guys I remember playing was Glenview member here, and perennial national contender was Pete Rose.
Oh,
I mean, he played the deuce side.
Huge
and would
backhand,
just
by the way.
Murder backhands from the middle of the court.
Huge back. You see some players now on the national circuit, just even in the local leagues, you see a huge backhand side, because a lot of guys that came from tennis court, they can move it. And, it does make a difference. Other thing I could tell you also where a lot of that's concerned is you do have the ability to change back if you want to.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, you got two righties. One is generally going to play the ad side and stay there. Even if something goes wrong in the first set, they may say, well, I'm comfortable over here. Let's see if we can right the ship from this formation. But with a lefty-righty combination, you have the option of changing it up, and it's a little easier for both players.
Yeah, well, I think two things to that. One, first, I want to also note. I changed my previous comment. The first two-handed backhand that I saw that just was mind-blowing was Danny Williams, Chris Williams' dad, his father.
Really?
Yes. He was the one that would rip the cover off the ball.
Wow.
But yeah, I think that's also a great point, Sean. Is players get so fixated on I'm going to play this side, right?
Oh yeah.
And we say, well, I'm just going to get better at this side. That's actually not making an improvement or a change. A lot of the time just changing your look, right? Flipping sides makes a huge difference.
Good transition there.
Jake is so quick, but again, it helps when you're under 30.
Yeah.
That was the next comment I was going to make. As an aging paddle player, how do I take out the 20-something-year-old who's moving twice as fast?
Yeah, so I actually spent a lot of time this week talking about that exact topic. one of the biggest things you can do is just control your ball speed and your racket and your paddle speed a lot
Slow
better.
everything down.
Sure. So the difference is question, doesn't matter what you're talking about, kids sports, junior sports, paddle here. What moves faster, the ball or the player? Always the ball, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you slow your speed down to a speed that now you can move near that speed or control the surface of the court, right? And what you're covering, that's going to go a long ways. And generally speaking, too, people that hit the ball hard like it to come at them hard.
Yeah.
So, they don't like that slow stuff.
Just bore them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chris
That's
loves
a third
it. He
tweener.
loves it.
I know, he just can't help himself now.
Well, but he's also amphibious. He'll go to his left hand all
He
the
does.
time, too.
I noticed that, especially if the ball goes to his left, deep, just out.
He's a phenomenal athlete, and
SoCal, low-cal.
SoCal?
Yeah, we call them SoCal or low-cal, depending on the weather and stuff. But
It's
matter of
definitely
fact,
SoCal today.
yeah, exactly. The other thing is, and I'll just say, if you like to rip it, this weather isn't necessarily conducive to that. You're probably better off on a cold day, because unless you put a huge amount of top on the balls can fly on you pretty easily. So we were also saying this last time, Coach. We were mentioning that every drive does not have to be at the the top of your range. As a matter of fact, sometimes the best thing you can do is change speeds on it.
I was hitting with somebody today who was a former Division I tennis player, right? And that was one of the biggest comments that I made was your changing of the speed to causes the volleyers to miss volleys instantly.
Yep.
Right? They're braced for impact.
Yep.
Yeah, when a guy's killing it and you're expecting it to be there at a certain time, just not having it get there at that same time, they're not going to have their paddle in the same position, or they're reaching for something, or it's dropping lower below the net than they can get to.
And I think the volley is one of the shots that we teach and coach to not move your feet so much. But the problem is then that generally is the message is received as don't move your feet at all. So if you slow the ball down, then it gets tougher.
No, that's absolutely true. I also would teach this, and this works for a lot of racket sports, not just platform, but the harder you hit it, the quicker it comes back. So sometimes if somebody, especially if somebody's built a wall pretty well, and they've got good hands, you can rip it all you want. If it's a pretty good drive that's going to come back, all of a sudden you're not going to be able to take a second drive. You might actually be in trouble even having to lob the ball.
Yeah, and I think the volley is such an important shot anyway. So we focus on it, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah, a lot of times players have to get used to not hitting the ball as hard as they can, especially on the serve. Matter of fact, it works against you the harder you hit the serve, depending on where you put it. But yeah, I've had a couple of lessons with guys that have great kick serves, huge kick serves, hitting it really hard. It's like, listen, you play somebody who's got a lot of experience that's just going to...
I'm drooling.
Yeah,
It's going to come up into their wheelhouse.
Not only that, your partner's going to wear it. That's the other problem.
Your partner looks at you and goes, can we stop that?
Exactly.
Can we go with a different play?
Look at Croce moving in. Some doubles.
I think, that's one of the hardest things. So as I work with a lot of...
Ooh, that's nice.
Great ball. As I work with a lot of new players, right, who are tennis background, and they come in, and the problem is they start at a lower level. They can win by pounding the crap out of it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get them to understand to say, hey, you're gonna run into somebody.
Yeah.
That's gonna like that.
Yes.
And you don't want to be on the receiving end of what comes back.
And then what do? There's no plan B after a while. You got to get dance with who you brought to the prom.
Oh, it's funny. My dad
Of course, I
always
wasn't
used
at
to
the
say
prom.
that.
That's not the point.
Got to dance.
So
with the
you
girl
guys
that
are
came
telling me my personal philosophy of what I called ABD, always be driving, is maybe not the way to win a paddle match.
Well, you know what? If it's working for you, Doc, I always say, never change a
changing
winning
numbers
game.
and not in the favorable
I
way.
was going to say, which direction?
Yeah, not the right direction. I'm not getting younger, quicker, more talented.
Well, you're enjoying yourself.
You should throw up some lobs
Well,
and work on the volley.
Yeah.
That's really good. So question for you, Doc.
Yeah.
We get a lot about the tennis, what's misconceived as the tennis elbow, right?
Yeah.
Which a lot of the time, actually, I find more than not is golfer's elbow, right? The bottom instead of the top.
Depends on how the guy's hitting the ball. Like, as I've seen more and more paddle guys, what I see is the lateral epicondylitis, or pain on the outside of the elbow,
Right.
is probably the more common overall. Because, just in general, that'll take a lot of force if you're gripping your racket tight, if you're catching the ball late, if you're catching a backhand lob
Sure.
the wrong way, or catching a volley backhand in the wrong way, or doing it over and over again. It can really make that area sore. The guys who get a lot of it on the inside tend to be the guys who are putting a lot of topspin on it and are coming over the top of the ball, because the muscle on the inner side is the one that kind of will get that going. I saw a paddle player in the office today who actually had it on both sides of the elbow.
What was the series?
Yeah,
Okay.
the confidentiality there. I'll tell you afterwards, don't worry. But so, it can happen on either side. This guy happened to have it on both sides, which our joke is we call that country club elbow when it's tennis elbow and golf elbow at the same time.
I want that elbow.
Yeah. If you stay
go.
around sports long enough,
He walks in, his arm looks like a side of beef.
Yeah.
It's like it's so swollen.
the tendon on both sides there has a little vulnerability, and so as you go through life, that tendon is not as strong in its attachment, and it can start to sort of break down, even with perfect technique. I know Matt in previous broadcasts has said, I always look at tennis elbow as like, what is the person doing wrong?
Correct.
And
yeah.
it doesn't necessarily mean that, but doing things wrong can make it a lot more sore, a lot worse. So there are things you can work on in your technique. There's more modifiable things if you're a tennis player. You can change, how tight your strings are, how much flexor is in the racket.
Thickness of the grip, maybe?
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. In paddle and in tennis, you can change, how many overwraps to try to loosen your grip a little bit.
Is bigger better? No,
Wow.
But
it's past the bewitching hour. Go ahead. You can.
Yeah.
We're on the internet.
I haven't had any beers yet here, so yeah.
Here, we got one for you.
Thanks.
By the way,
excellent.
Northmoor is serving
hang on.
for the set here, guys.
I'll try to get it in. Yeah.
I just want to let you know.
Perfect for the live cast.
As we get profane,
called the
Northmoor is serving
telecast,
for the
right,
set. Yeah, that's right. I call it that. I mean, it's old school.
Oh, Doc.
You shook up this beer before you gave it to me. Oldest trick in the book.
Wait. Matt gave it to me, and then I gave it to you.
You make the highly educated guy look dumb. I know this game.
Always look.
Story of my life.
What'd you say? Your game plan is DBD or ABD?
ABD, always be driving.
Mine is
That's a nice
cover your
try.
ass. Always look good, right?
CYA.
Yeah.
So sometimes
We got a
it's
set
trial
point
and error.
here, by the way, guys. Just for
There's a
Northmoor
match going on?
Seafaring Sailors. I made that up. That's not their mascot. Set, and that is the set. Take a little
Is this
break
Christmas
here.
music?
It kind of, it does feel that way. Kind of. I didn't mean for that to be the case, but it feels that way. But anyway, so we're going to take a break here at the Glenview Club in lovely Gulf, Illinois, for a couple of messages, and we'll be back after those messages.
From the heart of Chicago up to the North Shore and stretching from the northwest suburbs down to Kankakee. From urgent in-office care to virtual in-home visits, we're making orthopedic care available wherever and however you need it. Because while we're adapting our lives to keep each other safe, we know that new injuries will happen and old injuries will still linger. And IBJI is here to help.
Not your bank's top priority? Here at Wintrust, we take a different approach to banking. No hidden fees or runarounds, but a true banking partner focused on your unique financial goals. Whether you're opening your first account, found your dream home, planning for the future, or starting a business, we have the financial solutions to get you there. Stop settling and start experiencing a better way to bank. Wintrust. Different approach, better results.
You back in.
Or do you want me?
Yeah.
I think
We're back.
most of your medical questions have been addressed at this point. So if we'll look at that later, Matt. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But so you guys can pay attention to the match. I'm going to turn my headphones back over to Matt.
Dr. Brian McCall.
I'm here.
Thank you. Thanks, Doc.
Yeah.
Always
if
a
you guys need
pleasure.
anything, reach out. Happy to answer emails, questions.
Awesome.
And if anybody does get hurt and
look at that.
you need to get in, I think the main thing IBJI has to offer is we've got something called Ortho Access, where you guys can either get a walk-in appointment with an orthopedic surgeon at our offices
I love
in
it.
Glenview, Morton Grove. My office is in downtown Park Ridge, and they're just launching a new IBJI app where you can go on the app and sort of try to get an appointment in a very quick manner. So we hope not to see you. Try to stay healthy and safe, but if you need us, we're there.
Doc, thanks so much.
Yeah, and thanks
Good
for
to
the
see you
personal
guys.
advice. I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you for the
Call.
beer, Matt.
Awesome.
Get back in here. Be more entertaining than me.
It's going to be hard to do. It's a tough act to follow there.
That was the best set we've had all year. I
It
think.
was.
Yeah.
No question about it. Dr. Brian McCall, the IBJI, Illinois Bone and Joint Institute.
And how lucky
always
we are to
entertaining.
have them so closely
Yes.
connected with platform tennis.
Yeah.
One of the most dangerous sports that I've ever
I never
played.
put it together, but
It's lethal.
Only
Yeah.
when I do it, though. No, I mean, that's not a knock on the sport. That's just...
so this is going to be here's something we had to kind of multitask because we were engrossed.
It's pronounced Grochi.
Exactly. I was going to say, thank you. We're on the same wavelength. Waiting for you missed a beat there, but you were right there. But we're multitasking. So what does Glenview, a.k.a. Cam and Chris, need to do maybe to get back and take the second set and get back in this match?
Good question. You know, I feel like they didn't really have much of an identity in that set in terms of what their goal was and what they were doing to win points. And I think if you asked them, like, if they won 4 games, that's roughly what 16 points. What did they do to win those 16 points? I don't know if they'd be able to tell you. You know, and myself included. Granted, we were captivated by Doc's commentary
Coruscating
on
wit.
and off the air
Yes.
about personal issues
What a
here in the
shot.
booth and medical serious ones. But you know, I think that Northmoor had a little bit better identity, right? They were counterpunching well.
Yep.
They were driving, and I think a great question by Doc about putting the lefty in the ad court really caused some problems.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I'm going to say this. You know, Jake in the ad side was slicing more balls or hitting them flat as opposed to more
Which
of
is
the
a
top
lefty
spin.
can be disconcerting.
Well, I think in general, right? What happens is it goes opposite. You know, the ball hits your paddle and explodes off.
Yeah.
You know, we're not used to that.
No,
As
it goes
opposed
off
to the top
kind of
spin.
corkscrews to the left a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're on the board. That is,
That was a must-win. You
yeah.
hate to say that, right? But they
No.
needed that game out of the chute.
the Glenview Armadillos are back.
We're
I'm
back
making
on
that up.
the,
We're not the Armadillos.
logos?
Yeah, I don't know. Mascots. I'm trying to think of something creative and colorful
I
for
love
the
it.
holidays. I don't know if armadillo really qualifies. Cornucopia might be the word of the day. I don't know. Anyway, one love, so to speak. Bob Marley.
It's one of my favorite songs.
It is. It's one of mine too.
Who had Bob Marley reference on Sean?
I didn't even know Sean knew who Bob Marley was.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is I actually never know where this car is going to be driven. You know, where we're going to end up. You know?
No. It's the best kind of vacation.
Is that why the viewers like it too?
Best,
Or the listeners?
shot
Are
from
we-
Chris Williams.
Scott, what are telecasts?
C-dub.
Is it viewers or listeners?
Participants? I would like to think we're interactive, really,
Yeah.
you know. I don't know if that's true. But I tell you what, they're just taking a shot with those screen drives there. Put a little extra something on that one. Cameron did. Very stylish. Just missed it. Still got a 30-15 lead here in the second game of the second set. Slabber Williams lost the first set
Yep.
by a nose there, 6-4.
Ooh, near Nick.
Yeah. Beauty.
Jake's a nice player. You know, he's new here to Chicago, right?
Yeah.
The last couple years as the director at Northmoor.
Yep.
And really doing a great job. Great guy. But, you know, I think I played him for the first time a couple years ago, and he's really kind of settled into league play and the culture here in Chicago. Really doing a great job.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a nasty kick. I tell you what, look at that thing.
I mean, and again, nobody was bashing lefties for the
Nope.
record, Doc. I was just saying that historically they're put in a place,
I'll do
right?
it.
Yeah, they're putting in a box as opposed to.
All right, 40-30
you know,
here.
and I played in that match last week against Eric Pohl.
Isn't that
right?
invariable?
Andrew's in the booth. That was a tough one. Sorry to bring it up, but not sorry in the slightest. But lefty, you know, lefty spin and what they do to the ball, we just don't see it.
No.
It's scary.
A little too much on that one from D. Fish. Sometimes you could take I mean, you can get I don't know if their word is aggressive with a reset. I mean, aggressive would maybe meaning hit it a little deeper than you. What touch? Come on.
Sneaky.
A little
C-Dub
no
just
look.
showing some
He looked left.
serious
right.
style.
We got a replay on that.
And they get the game out of that one. Look at pickleball is broken out on court
So
one.
good.
Unbelievable. All right, so they take a 2-love lead here with the break of serve.
When again, Chris is no newbie to paddle, even though he's around that 30-year-old mark, right? But
Right.
his mother and father just Chicago legends, so he's grown up playing this game.
Wow.
One of the rare non-tennis players entering into paddle.
Is that
with
right?
Success, yeah.
You wouldn't
He's one of
know
those
he's
kids
got-
that would come out during a club party and just launch balls over the fence. You know, just really making a nightmare for the head pro to just be like, what the heck happened here? You
Nate
know?
Parsons, if you're listening, you can remember it.
Yeah, and they're not sorry. Like, they're just like, it's your job to pick it up, and then you do it anyway.
And then you know what we say?
And
The
then-
real intelligent ones like me say, you're never going to be any good at this game. And then he ends up winning the
And then
league.
it turns out that they're the top player at their club. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's just the reality of the world, I guess.
Yeah, I think I've spawned enough.
That's
club
a
champs.
great low drive to come up with
Wow.
from that position.
I like the move from Williams, though.
Yeah, no, in a great spot, but
Yep.
that ball is just
Yeah.
an inch over the net, and as it drops, it just becomes so
Yep.
difficult to hit a good volley.
Well, anything near that area of the body, coach, is going to be. I'm just going to say it as a
Well,
guy.
I don't have that much to lose, so I typically just stand there and take that volley, no problem. But other people who might be more nervous for a variety of
like to-
reasons.
Is it wrong? I don't like to compare.
Volleys? Yeah.
Oh, he lets it go.
nice
He's
shots.
there. It's a great lob. The recovery
And
there.
at this temperature, all of those will be retrievable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One step back and you got it.
What would you still call this warm weather paddle?
You know, I would.
Okay. I mean, it's 77, it says right now, so.
Blistering.
Yeah. And it's so great for us to be able to do Chicago charities, you know, in the summertime.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't always happen, but every once in a while the schedule works out due to, you know, El Nino or CO2 emissions or, you know, whatever you believe. The earth is
Global
flat.
warming
Who
is-
knows? But
it's not real.
the reality is, yeah, exactly.
Well,
I said,
that Nino's going to be pretty frigid apparently this weekend, according to the reports. So.
Well, that's a bummer because
Yeah.
I've been standing outside all week with an aerosol can just trying to keep it, you know, a nice, comfortable temperature, just spraying into the sky, trying to be like, here you go, guys. Keep it in the high 60s.
I was saying to somebody the other day, this could be the first October I can remember in a long time that it didn't snow.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Normally it always snows once. at least once, right?
Halloween is a strangely like 50-50 shot, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
your kids are outside
We got
and
one
like
more
they're
day.
You're like,
enjoying
"Dear
their
God."
stuff, or they're in galoshes and upset
Yep.
that you made them put their winter coat over their costume.
We got
or
one more
under.
day. I think
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah.
You're ruining it.
Or how
Yeah.
many beers can I load into the wagon?
Right.
So you've got to figure out your costume too, according to the weather. So I'm going to be a radish. So no, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I was just joking. But I'm just thinking. So I may be in a pretty good spot, you know, with the insulation.
It looks like we're going to be at a freezing cold 59 degrees on Saturday, so
Yep.
it's going to be great.
That's fine. Sit.
Eyes for tag.
That actually means we could have a big crowd out here Saturday night.
I think you're,
Yeah,
I, think
I was
going to
say
right.
that the nicer the weekend, the stronger the spectator viewership
yeah.
stuff. So that's always cool.
That's one of the best parts,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, it's such a great paddle atmosphere.
It's going to be good. It's going to be a good weekend. Thank you to Andrew. Andrew's sitting here in the booth.
Yep,
Thank you to Andrew and Glenview Club for
that's right.
hosting
Andrew
again as
Buckholz, the
usual.
great Andrew Buckholz.
It's just always good. Andrew and I were joking before. A lot goes into it, right? And
The one
thank you
time
to
there
Matt
from
and Sean
Chris.
and Cal, the new guy. 'Cause you're going to be here all weekend.
Pants, the new guy.
Who's the? I don't know. We don't need to talk about that.
Little
Oh,
long.
you went
That's a-
lefty
I know, that's the
because he's
first-
left-handed.
Yes.
And it did not
You know,
work
it's
out in that
actually, you know what?
situation.
I'm going to say it. That's the first reset that maybe he let drop a little bit that he missed. He hasn't missed many. It's a nice serve from
This is,
D. Fish.
you
right
will
there.
see a few more errors on the reset overhead, particularly at this temperature,
Yep.
because you start trying to really
Super
focus
volley.
on your depth, and it's just so easy to kind of, even hit a ball. You feel like you barely touched it, and you can miss it deep.
So, interesting little teaching tip to that. One of the things that I love is most of the clubs, right now, Glenview, we have a different setup, but most of the clubs have the windscreens, and all windscreens now, whether they have the logo on it, whether it's an owl like at Michigan Shores
Yeah.
or what have you. But I always love teaching, if you can hit your reset overhead on or below the logo,
Yes.
it's going to come back as a lob every
Yes.
time. It's like you never play on a court that doesn't have a center net strap,
Little
and
long
you aim
ago.
over every return over the center net strap.
Yeah.
You play on a court that has the club logo, hit every
Big
ball
point here.
under the logo,
Yes.
and you're okay.
Yes, you have to find those reference points that help you out, because
Chris
if-
Williams would rather have that one back. I'll bet
yeah, I
you.
bet. I mean, every court is the same, so using the net strap or the net posts or,
Sure.
specific areas on the court are really valuable. But if you can find something beyond that,
In
like a
theory,
logo.
they're the same.
Sure.
in theory, you're right. In theory,
I-
they're the same. That's
I
not
used-
actually true.
I used to carry a 15/16 wrench with me in my bag to tighten screens because some screens were more like a net
Yeah,
than a device that would bounce the ball off of.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah, what a
otherwise
speed.
there would be less value in home court advantage. That's really what that is.
That's a
is
great move.
home court advantage.
No, wait,
Okay.
okay. Got to give Jake some cred there, man. He absolutely closed just at the right time and
Look at
perfect
that.
location.
Good read.
Yep.
So that's one of those rare times, teachable moment, right? When you're coming in and
Pounded.
blitzing, that's the only time you come in with your forehand volley.
Deuce is
Because
wild
you
here.
can't do anything with a backhand.
Right.
So get in there. It's almost like your windshield wiper,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. But you come in there and you just punch that thing.
Yeah, it's the most aggressive you're going to be with your kind of volley movement.
My what movement? I'm sorry.
Your contact movement.
All right, I had something that didn't agree with me earlier.
I
So,
just got a text, guys. We shouldn't talk about the weather.
Oh, really?
The APTA is contacting us, board members, saying don't jinx it. Looks
Oh,
great.
don't jinx it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't jinx the weather. Thank you, Damien.
Listen, I got to
we
tell you.
believe in that now.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I got
I'm
to tell
sorry.
you that if I have that kind of power, then, things are going to change around
You mean
here.
you don't?
Okay.
If
If it turns out that that's one of the things I can do, then I'm going straight dictator mode immediately. It's going to be ugly.
Kind of like Travolta in that movie.
Can you also change the calendar to move it 2 months back? So the first 2 months of summer aren't terrible?
That's a great question. What I can do is I can move the clocks back late on Saturday night.
All of them?
Yeah, all the clocks.
McClure.
All the
Got
clocks.
it.
Yeah,
Time
so-
cop.
Yeah, I
Time cop
do
McClure.
possess. Yeah, I do possess certain powers.
I'll never forget. It happens every year at charities, the time change.
Yeah.
And they're the guys that show up late for their
Yep.
their match.
yeah.
And we're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like he couldn't
Yeah.
figure it out.
Couldn't figure it out. No.
Your cell phone will literally
It does
change
it for you. Yeah,
Yeah, come on, man.
yeah. Well, I was on the
Figure it
Hyatt
out.
Wi-Fi and it got screwed up. Okay, whatever. As though pretend you didn't have 42 beers last night and that's the real thing.
I called for a wake-up call. It was the front desk girl's fault. She didn't
Yeah.
know about the time change.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Once everybody had a cell phone in their pocket, the wake-up call all but was eliminated, right?
For sure.
Do you think there's still someone that monitors wake-up calls at hotels?
Not
You know
anymore.
what? You know what? As an old
There's
school
gotta
dude,
be. There's gotta
I'm
be.
telling you that there would be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you're
got to
just
be
too
something.
lazy.
That's got to be something that got automated a while ago, right?
Too lazy to use your phone. You know what I mean? They'd rather just, hi, how are you?
That comes up in the dumb question category, I
Ah,
think.
Which is 90% of our commentary. So we're burning through those pretty quick.
okay, I'm the majority of that 90%. I admit it. Absolutely. All right.
We
15:40
we
here.
had 3 guys out here before match time came around because we were setting up courts and getting ready for
And I noticed
charities
you
in the
got out
live
there and
stream.
cut
And
a
there was
rug.
3 guys doing workouts on the volley machine before
Oh, I see what you mean.
their match.
I thought you were going to make mention of the fact that you helped like a couple of these guys warm up this time there.
Doc said you got to warm up.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
no, I mean, my point is Coach McClure got out there and helped out.
I
He
did.
was out there
I did play the
playing
first
about
6
games,
games in the last 3 years, and let me tell you,
Impressive.
it was
Obi-Wan
really
has
high
taught you
quality
well.
for
Yes.
someone.
That felt good?
Yeah.
Yeah, for someone who's basically doesn't belong in any sport.
That's not true. That's just not true.
Face it, some people just don't belong.
Hey, and I know you don't have a mic on you, but Andrew, how much does your volley machine get used? How many hours a week, you think, roughly?
It sounded so dirty the way you said it.
5 to 10? I mean, look, if anybody has, I know you're going to see commercials, et cetera, and this isn't a plug. This is actually an honest comment.
It's getting dirtier.
Yeah, I think that product is so phenomenal.
Yep.
And I think the beauty of it is it doesn't take away from the club professionals.
Nope.
It actually enhances it, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
which I think was one of the big fears for teaching professionals
Yes.
across the country.
Yeah, I can say this now because I'm out of the industry, and I'll let you guys peek behind the curtain a little bit. But I went and I helped out and subbed in for a drill that was a pretty, relatively beginner ladies group. Their second year playing paddle on a team.
What are you trying
and
to
we
say?
were working on screens.
Yeah.
And we spent, don't get me wrong, it's valuable to have somebody out there teaching you where to stand and how to hit the shot, but there's 4 people on the court. I'm feeding a screen in. They're making 50% of them. I'm coaching, trying to give them the exact same ball, and then we're playing the point out for 3 or 4 more shots afterwards.
Yep.
That time would have just been so much better spent.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you do have to do it so that everybody understands the positioning piece, but then you just say, hey, everybody book an hour on the volley and go, have it put screens into your corner. And, they would get, 10x the amount of shots in that period of time to practice? Especially since a shot like that is the only way to learn it is to see it.
And
Yes.
hit it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And Nick, that thing can repeat it literally within, an inch of the line every time. So it's pretty amazing. 40-15 here. Fish and Groce are up a break for the Northmoor Seafaring Sailors.
I think that exactly that.
All right,
Matt.
I better change that.
No, I like it.
Come on, I think
sturgeon.
I have to. Okay, see, there you go. We should have used you in the first place. Where were you at the board meeting? I shouldn't even
That's
be
a
there.
big forehand.
It was.
A great dig.
Is he from South Africa?
He is. Cameron, absolutely is.
Do you know who is also South African?
Who?
The best white athlete I've ever seen, Mark Johnson.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, that's right.
Dear
Mark
God.
Johnson is from South
Remember
Africa.
watching him hit a tennis ball in the late 90s, early 2000s?
You know something? I had the misfortune of getting an up close and personal version of
locker
that.
room?
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, I know. I was waiting for you to get me back with all my commentary, but yeah, that wasn't. No.
That's the only cardinal direction that's represented in Africa. I've met a lot of South Africans. I've never met an East African.
No. But no.
Maybe they just don't introduce themselves that way.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Oh,
I think they're the fun ones.
What do you mean it's a different country?
They're the fun ones.
The fun ones.
that's what the tourism board slogan
That's
is.
right.
East Africa, the fun ones. No, Mark Johnson's forehand was like a serve, pretty much. It was that's a big shot. He wasn't exactly a poor paddle player either.
No.
That was a big forehand on the paddle side as well.
I had, and look, Mark's a good friend and a great guy, and we had played a match last year in Series 3, and it was a good battle, and I luckily came out on top of it, and I was so excited afterward. And we were joking and smiling, and he said, Jason, you look really happy, and asked why. I said, Mark, in 20 years, that's the first time I've ever beaten you.
No, it's
You don't understand what a big day this is.
You don't get it that when someone outclasses you on every level, that when you can walk away with a victory, you really feel good about it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually going to ask that we play again in another 20 years when you're 80.
That's right.
You know, maybe
That's
I'll
right.
get a shot then.
Now, the disappointing part is that was his rock bottom loss. Like,
Yeah.
for every match where you're really excited about a victory, you're someone else's absolute rock bottom where they're like, oh, my God, I can't believe I lost to McClure.
Well,
J-Love.
there is a slogan there is a motto
I'm
that
quitting the
says,
sport.
you're only as good as your worst loss.
Yeah,
That might have
exactly.
been it right
Yes.
there. Shot.
Clearly, Lovey Smith doesn't believe in that.
No, and why would he?
Sorry, Lovey.
In there.
Oh,
Nice
what
pick.
a dig.
Nice pick.
Oh,
Look at that. No, he tried a little too much
little
there.
zipper.
Yeah, in cold weather, that's coming back in the court, I think. Especially for a mud hen. You don't get those very often.
It'll be interesting, you know, looking at the
Deuce.
weekend. I mean,
Shot.
normally the Charities is
He was
pretty
there.
warm.
Fish was there. Good.
You know, it's normally pretty warm here for the Charities, so it you know, I think the players are used to it. But again, what I love about it is it makes the game more exciting, right?
Yeah,
It's like more home runs, more touchdowns,
true.
more transition play.
Yeah, it really is that. It really is that sort of end of, the fall, before you start feeling like, oh, there's about to be a big adjustment here. Because typically Cleveland is the next tournament on tour after Charities, and I remember some Cleveland Masters being real frigid.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you get to
Well,
that.
it's like Boston. You go to Boston in January, February, and it's
Well,
like,
we were
dear
there.
God,
We
why
were
are
there a
here?
year ago,
Yeah.
and it was pretty cold, wasn't it?
I mean, even the lobster league.
Yeah, it was pretty chilly the last time we were at Cleveland Masters, and then you start getting, pretty much anything in January and February, all bets are off. Like the coldest I've ever been might have been even inside the hut in Indianapolis. There was a snowstorm, and it was,
They
we have
keep
the
opening
door
the
cracked
stinking
open
door all the
because,
time.
it's because we have cables running out of it as
That's
well. So we weren't helping, but it was definitely just like, oh man, we're gonna freeze.
Oh
to
yeah,
death.
blame it on the crew.
Yeah.
The new guy.
Listen, when I can take the blame, I'm going to do it. That's what I'm good at.
You are outstanding at that. I don't know that's just natural talent. Wow.
That's a great question.
The
I
line.
do think that we should get some FanDuel going for platform tennis.
Yeah,
It's a community that would be interested in it, and
nice.
Right.
It's a good one time.
maybe
in
I'll
that
just
thing.
stop talking about it and run it on the dark web myself.
I want to say, wasn't it a few years ago that there was kind of a pool,
There was a pool.
like a NCAA pool that went around?
Yeah, there's been
Yeah.
a few. There's been a few pools.
I mean,
at
I
some
would throw some
tournaments.
names out, but Girani and Mike Marino would be upset with me.
That's
for,
right.
You know,
That's right.
but
Those degenerates.
but I seem to remember that, right? Didn't it was like you put money in and you pick who was going to win, and
Yeah. There was a cool event that I'm sure many clubs have run, but I was lucky enough to help run it at Skokie Country Club with Paget, and it was like a full tennis weekend type event where everybody bought a team,
Sure.
and
like a Calcutta.
yeah, it was essentially it, and it made the weekend real interesting, and the viewership was really high because everybody was trying to get the payout,
Sure.
the payout going, and
I love when you get the conglomerates, right? You got like 10 guys in on the
Oh, yeah.
$1,000 bet.
Yeah.
You know,
I got in trouble once because I
once.
at Skokie for
Yes.
splitting a team with another member where I was like, hey, they're going to win for sure. Like, nobody knows how good this dark horse guy is because I've been hitting with him,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I'm like, he comes out once a week and he's at the bottom of the
Messing
list
with
and
the-
he is top half.
Yeah.
And
you have no clue.
yeah, and I'm just like, they're going to win guaranteed. And this other member was just like, well, I'll split it with you. And I was like,
Right.
okay,
Great
fine,
point
here. Sure.
done. And then there was a
Northmoor.
weird insider trader thing
Wow.
going on
Well,
where they were like, should he be allowed to do that?
You're sharing a cell with Tom Skilling's brother. You know.
well, they should have an upper age division for some of that stuff. I really think they should. As an older guy, I think I probably should start like that.
Like the Charities 110s?
I was
we'll
just
call
going to
it-
say,
we'll call it-
you can play Ed Granger in the 110s.
We'll call it fan.
You can lose to Ed Granger in the 110s.
We'll call it fan drool. Just heck of it. Okay, that was bad, but I don't want any part of Ed Granger. No way.
Yeah,
No thanks.
he's too good.
Yeah, he's tough.
That's a really patient point.
Super
but-
patient.
Are we going to
they
get serious
take
on that one?
Well,
They
I think we
take
have
that
to because
break.
I haven't said anything about paddle for like 20 minutes.
No, we've been
ball-
talking about
that ball
paddle. We just haven't been talking
cannot
about
go to that
this.
deep side
No.
there.
Yes,
I mean, he's literally waiting to hit that ball.
Yeah, especially at that, at that height, stepping into it, and he just sort of can do anything he wants there.
And sometimes at that juncture of it's break point. You may have to take a chance. Maybe you're up a few points or whatever. Maybe you miss the volley, whatever.
And I think, look, Chris is even saying that to him, right?
Yep.
I mean,
like that's the one we got to avoid.
well, but also there's just no reason to go to that spot, right?
Really not.
You know a forehand there. And to Doc's point earlier,
Sure.
that's when you play to the deuce side, guess what's always there? Or
Yep.
at least 75% of the time, it's somebody's forehand.
Yep.
So you put the lefty over on the ad side, right? It's the same equation.
I
Doesn't work.
will play devil's advocate just in a very minor way in the idea that sometimes when you see players, break down mentally, it doesn't always result in an error or they hit a shot way too hard and it goes out of bounds. Sometimes it's a missed target. Sometimes it's like we're 50 balls into this point and I sort of forgot what I was doing with this particular shot.
Yep.
And then you kind of let down a little bit and you are not focused on it and you hit a very general ball into the court.
Yep.
I didn't have a goal for it, so I just hit it in, and oops, that was the wrong location.
Yeah. I think that's what makes paddle different, right?
For sure.
It's chess, not checkers. You make one missed move and 3 moves behind.
Yep.
You're out of luck. I think that's what separates the top players is not just that pure focus of I'm not going to make that mistake.
Nope.
But it's almost like it's like the golf analogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's your miss?
Yep.
If I'm going to put a ball that's going to come back as a drive,
Kinda
it's
slid
not
off
going to
the
be to that
screen
forehand
there.
deuce side.
Right.
Right. Just
Some
not going to be
home
there.
cooking.
Right, yeah, and I think ultimately you'll see that this weekend. It's rare for the top players to be like, wow, they just have a shot that no one else has. That's not the case. Everybody can put crazy spin on the ball.
Absolutely.
Everybody can dig like crazy. Everybody can, has all the shots in the game, right? Great hands, whatever the case may be. You will see it come down to those mental pieces of
Sure.
focus and how many times in a row you can hit the right target.
I'd also venture to say with some of these drives, and I think we mentioned it before, we just got to take a little more off of the thing. There are times when if you're going to seize the net, the best thing you can do, especially if you can catch your opponent somewhere near the service line, is not hit it too hard. Because if it comes back off the screen, it's pretty much easier for them to kind of play D off of it. But just kind of take a nice smooth swing off of if you call it an approach shot, if you will, let it die in the corner somehow, or maybe at the screen somewhere.
Well, I love. We were talking about earlier about changing the speed of your drives, right?
Yep.
And throwing that kind of almost slow speed roller,
Yep.
right, as
Yep.
opposed to hitting it hard and flat. When you nuke that thing, anybody can stick their paddle out and get it back over. But when you force them to have to move their hands,
Yep.
change their eye contact point, right? That's when it gets tough.
Absolutely, and more to Coach Matt's point, at the top level, they will swing the ball, a la right there, Exhibit A. But they'll swing the ball, but usually they'll do it because they know their partner's going to be in position.
Well,
And half the time, the shot selection probably should be dictated depending on whether you're not really sure what you're going to do with it. Well, it depends on where you are, what your formation is already. Hey, probably 9 times out of 10, maybe just a regular reset down the middle is not a bad idea.
I think I said it last week or the week before, right?
Nice
So
big drive.
Two of the main things that you need to focus on is movement and communication, right? So if
Yep.
you're going to swing it from side to side, that's totally fine. I actually, from the teaching perspective, I don't care who hits it. I don't care where you hit it.
Right.
As long as you,
You
communicate that you're
gonna
going
do
there,
that, yep.
and then you move to that side
Yep.
to cover whatever shot comes
Yep.
back.
I mean, you're lucky if you have a partner that will instinctively be watching so intently that they can see what you're doing, but you'd still like to give them some notice. I like the idea. That's a great
Nice
move.
touch, great move.
I've yet to come across a team that shares a brain. So until we share a brain,
Yeah.
you need to be telling
Well,
your
I have
partner
half
what
one
you're
for
gonna do.
that I can offer up.
Yeah, until you have a true Quado situation, then that's really the only way to do it,
Yeah,
right?
I just don't.
Why can't I do all the movie references too?
You can.
I'm not allowed.
I think it's impressive that even got a laugh in the booth.
That
I mean, the
did.
fact that anybody was like, "Yeah, Total Recall, totally."
That actually got a bunch of chuckles. Doc is still here. Andrew laughed. Maybe
If you've got a mutant alien in your stomach,
did you have the Total Recall on that?
yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
good.
if that's.
Yeah.
If the guy growing out of your stomach can hold a paddle, that's really the only way for you to be of a shared mind. I think.
By the way, I don't have a guy growing out of my stomach. That's
Not yet.
That's just
I was gonna
3
say
or 4 hamburgers.
I was going to say congratulations, Sean.
Who's the
Sorry,
lucky
buddy. Sorry,
guy?
buddy.
Girl?
No,
Yeah.
we've really settled into a good match here, though.
Yeah, I do
Nice
think that
segue
both
there.
teams have kind of found their rhythm, and you're starting to see a lot more traded points.
Yep.
From a strategic standpoint, right?
Yes,
That they're
agreed.
making good, decisions.
Look at that great lob.
Wow. How does he find the nick on that overhead?
They are starting to flirt a little bit more with that deuce side again.
Yep.
Well, they're clearly staying away from Jake, and again, to Doc's point, his forehand on that side has made it scary. Right?
Yep.
He's absolutely nuked a few
Oh.
Oh,
balls.
good touch, nice hands.
So they're directing
And they
more
were able
play
to
away.
get that 9th game to take the lead
I really
here in
do
the second set.
like that. It's kind of, we've talked about it in the past, but it's a little bit of an underutilized shot in the world of paddle right now to take some heavy spin or some rollers directly at the deuce player's left hip, so that there's a forced dodge and they have to get out of the way. And it's not necessarily the go-to shot for a lot of guys when you kind of feel like, I'll put it in the corner or in the side screen. But it does seem to tangle people up. You have to mix it in.
We talked about it, was it last week, right?
Yep.
You've got to make people feel uncomfortable.
Correct.
And it does. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And when you throw that ball hard at them, it's the equivalent of having to make a move and make an adjustment. And they don't like that.
Yeah, that's my superpower, is that you can't make me more uncomfortable than I already am.
I don't need to be
like,
punched
it's really
in the face.
hard.
Yeah, I'm already uncomfortable.
Jeez.
You punch me in the face, I'm super uncomfortable.
That was my default position was already a level of anxiety that, I was uncomfortable.
I'm covering my face in half the points anyway, just instinctively. Just so I don't shock little children. Reach. Nice. Oh, I thought that was in there. Never mind. He did take kind of a chance there. All right,
Wow.
love 30.
I was going to say
2 points away from the set here.
I don't like the
Our
speed
Glenview.
that Fish and Groce are playing right now.
Yeah.
Too fast.
Yep.
There
Too
you go.
fast. Look at, they're about to lose
Yeah.
4 points in
That's a
less
little.
than 3 minutes.
It's a little forced right now.
All right, set point.
It's a good serve.
Set. I think they missed it.
Nope, little wide.
Unbelievable. We're going 3, guys.
This is going to be a 3-setter. Well, we're going to take a quick break. These players, I'm sure, are going to take a quick breather. We're going to hear from our sponsors here in the CPTC Platform Tennis live stream, and we'll be back with you in a couple minutes. Stick around.
Not your bank's top priority? Here at Wintrust, we take a different approach to banking. No hidden fees or runarounds, but a true banking partner focused on your unique financial goals. Whether you're opening your first account, found your dream home, planning for the future, or starting a business, we have the financial solutions to get you there. Stop settling and start experiencing a better way to bank. Wintrust. Different approach, better results.
From the heart of Chicago up to the North Shore and stretching from the northwest suburbs down to Kankakee. From urgent in-office care to virtual in-home visits, we're making orthopedic care available wherever and however you need it. Because while we're adapting our lives to keep each other safe, we know that new injuries will happen and old injuries will still linger. And IBJI is here to help.
back here with the smooth jazz of WNUA 95.5.
Lay down, breakdown, boogie on the wrong side.
Better than the Christmas music we had before.
Coming to you from the, I like it all. I like the variety.
The quiet storm.
What was the Sunday brunch that they used to do on Smooth Jazz in the,
Oh, yeah.
in the you know,
Gospel
from the
brunch.
lobby of the
Kind of thing.
the hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Champagne brunch.
Hotel
Champagne
Continental,
brunch.
like
It was
in
something
Milwaukee.
like that. Yeah, it was something like that where they would, you know,
Yeah.
they would run it, the booth out of there. I'm Matt McClure alongside Sean Albrecht and Jason Love. Cal Noble is here running the booth, keeping score.
Who's Cal?
He invented the internet. I don't know if you knew that. It's a real inconvenient truth that Cal Noble invented the internet. It's
Well,
listen, I miss Al Gore a lot. Okay, I mean he was
Who doesn't?
he was
Plan.
he always had plenty of stuff going on and just
was he the guy who played the saxophone?
one of them. Yeah, one of them. I think he
It
actually
was
played.
it was a wind instrument. I knew that. I don't know.
In the words of
I think he played jazz bass, but
Yeah. So here we go, third set. In the words of the great Hawk Harrelson. Remember him from the Chicago White Sox?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Sit down, sit back,
He gone.
strap it down. Let's play some baseball. Third set.
Put it on the board. Yes.
Yeah, it's can of corn.
That's a reference
There you
to
go.
black tar heroin, I think. I don't
It's
know if
amazing.
that's-
Him and Harry Carey stayed on the air so long.
Yeah.
You know, both of them.
Yeah, when
Tommy
you become
Paciorek.
just a
Love him.
figurehead of an entire sport like that, you know.
Yeah.
We had no White Sox. We had the Total Recall. Everyone got it, but
Yeah.
Hawk Harrelson,
No,
nobody.
no, nobody. I got it.
I got
mean,
texts about the
really?
Total Recall
Yeah.
reference.
All right, Doc had it. in the
I'm
booth.
really proud of like the nerd factor
It was-
of the
yeah.
paddle viewership community because you know.
It's kind of a contradiction, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I'm so
I don't know that
proud
it
of
is.
your nerded.
I don't know that it is.
Nobody ever
There's-
says that to me.
There's, I think there's an exceptional level of intelligence that goes into
I think you're
platform
right.
tennis
I
in
think-
general.
I think you're right.
Because I think if you don't have it, then you don't enjoy it, and so
True.
I think it's sort of
If you
mandatory.
don't know, you don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I would kind of argue that like that, it's a cool spot to be.
With your paddle on your mind and your mind on your paddle, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of the rap.
In the off
reference
season, we're
money
just
on
going to
your
do a
mind.
watch party
Yeah.
of
I was just gonna say
the original
geez.
series.
Thank you, Doc. Always count on you.
Cal, are you living in a gangster's paradise over there?
All right. Well, I'm fading out the Jazz boys. It is 15 all. Well, now 30-15. I should say 15-30. Get a little breezy
So
out there,
both of
even
these
more
sets
than normal.
have kind of come down to the wire, and then at the tail end of them, it's been just momentum control.
Yep.
Right? It hasn't, you know, it's just kind of been like, oh, those last couple of points,
A little
you know,
loose.
We went a little faster than we should have, and all of a sudden, that set's over. So
Look, and I think, you know, games in paddle versus games in tennis mean different things,
agreed.
right? But you can't play a 4-5 serving game and have it last
No.
60 seconds. You know,
No.
it's just that, you know, sorry, Fish and Croce, but we're going to look back and we're going to want that one again.
Absolutely.
Well, what
That was nice.
what I love about this sport is now let's see what each team
he
does.
gets there.
Oh, he almost he had it. Is that a two-hitter? Did he get it?
I think it bounced once after it hit the screen.
thought
but
he had it.
He had it. He just didn't hit it. He had it on one extra bounce.
But what I love now is let's see what adjustments they make, right?
Right.
You
Right.
know, and see who
After having been broken.
who made the observation of what was working, didn't work, or what made them uncomfortable, not uncomfortable, right?
Yep.
And vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's not a break until you hold, boys. How many times have you heard that from me?
Just every
Ad
week.
nauseum.
Just every week.
I like this too. They're taking their time. Little convo before the serve, first serve, the first point. Smart. Yeah, got to keep a game plan.
Good shot.
I have a rule with the players that I work with. I don't know, Matt, Sean, what you guys think about this, but the serving team should talk in between every point, right?
Wow.
And the returning team the rule is when your opponents talk, you should also talk. I don't even care if it's about what you had for dinner, what your kids
Wow.
are doing, what your Halloween costumes are. But the point is there should never be what makes club doubles, whether it's tennis or paddle, boring, is when you just switch from side to side. And your success rate is going to go incredibly down. Uh-oh.
Wow.
Oh, that one's
They came
over?
in, yeah.
That's a souvenir
you
for a
wanted another
lucky
ball.
fan.
New guy.
They gotta go grab
Oh,
it.
somebody was out there. They found
Somebody,
it.
yeah.
That's cool.
They toss it back.
Yeah. Throw it back.
Coach Jason, you have that's a great point. I could just tell you one exception might be the Illinois married mixed. Because I'm just saying, having been, I'm just keeping it real, boys.
That's so good.
I'm just saying, after being married for so long, I'm not sure she wants to hear from me
You're a brave man for playing that event anyway.
Well, I can't get my wife to play
No, I'm just saying
pro-am.
in general. Like,
Yeah.
you're brave. You're
Yeah.
brave.
No, I'm just saying. You're right. You're right. No, that's a good point too. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's true. Really good teams can stall you out to start to
Yes.
feel like your momentum, that you could build this momentum, but, if they don't let you build on it, it can be difficult.
It's the bathroom break, the tire shoes.
Yeah, that's right. And I also played with somebody who their rule was if a team takes a second to have a little meeting and talk, that you were then going to talk longer than they did.
They were,
Then you had this weird battle where both teams were in on it, and it's like you couldn't get a point started because then they would meet up again,
Right.
and I'd be like, just serve the ball already.
Yeah. Can we just not talk?
This is a mind game that we don't need to win.
Server's pace. Yeah.
But Brad Gilbert would have been proud.
Yes, he would. Winning ugly.
Yep.
Check that on your bingo card.
But we
Brad
had-
Gilbert reference. Oh, did I miss that one? Darn
No.
it.
All right. So a break point here to get back to bamboo shoots here, if it's possible.
Oh, that also goes on the bingo card.
Breadsticks. Oh,
Yeah,
bamboo
we're looking.
shoots.
Yeah, I call them bamboo
Yeah.
shoots, but I had this asked of me the other day. A new ball. Does it make that much of a difference when you're playing with a new ball? Is there an adjustment period? Should there be an adjustment period, et cetera? What do you think, guys?
I'm going to say yes, it probably matters less in warm weather, but a huge difference in the cold.
Yep.
Because you've got a game or two where it bounces completely differently than it does at the end of 7 games. And also, if it's wet, right?
Yeah.
If a ball gets a little bit wet and then goes totally bald, and then somebody throws a fresh one out,
Yep.
it is you've got a couple games where it's
Yes.
Disaster.
back to real paddle.
I got 2 things to add to that, right? So this is just to preach to everybody. Do not leave your balls outside. I know that sounds weird to say live, but
I haven't had to use
put
this.
them in. You don't need to put them in the microwave or leave them on the grill. But
I haven't had
dear
to
God.
use. We have a little sensor like that. I haven't had to use that yet.
And David Dodge and Total Platform a number of years ago came out with a piece of equipment called a ball warmer that you would hang on the side of the court.
All right, we're getting
And you'd put your ball
very
in it,
close.
and it would keep them warm.
Yeah.
So like you didn't need to have a hut or et cetera.
Sign me up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Especially for the Illinois married mixed. I'm on board with those.
Anyway, moving on.
How
But I
advanced
also-
was it? Would it have a battery pack in it?
No, it was
like-
plugged in electrical.
Oh, it was a plug-in.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so
Actually,
it was a modified space heater, basically.
It might still be here in the Glenview office.
Why am I the only one that's laughing at it?
Well,
All right, whatever.
as
your
I've always
mind out
said,
of the
my
gutter.
job is the club fluffer. So, Anyway,
Wow.
continuing to move on. But I also, Matt, I want to hear your opinion on this. I am a huge, strong, firm believer of when it's wet
Sit.
and or
He's there.
snowing,
Nice pick.
do not bring
Love
out
the
a new
idea.
ball.
Yes.
Wow.
Because to me, and I use this
You just
reference,
wasted
what
it.
are the tires on your car made out of?
Yep.
They're made out of rubber. And the reason they're made out of rubber is so that you can have traction.
Yep.
Right? And when you don't want the ball to slide or fly around,
Right.
you want traction. So
Exactly.
use that burnt out ball.
Yep. Because they're going to grip.
That's just me. I don't want a new ball.
I think you're absolutely right about that.
I'm totally with you, and I think this is a bizarre element, but sometimes I like the new ball because I like the idea of ending a few points quickly.
True.
Like, especially when you can hit it when it's damp enough where it starts leaving a mark on the court, like you hit a skidder that then slides into the bottom snowboard and the point is over, and you're just like, well, clearly, I mean, you got a couple of one swing overheads in.
Yeah,
I'm showing my age here, but I'm going to tell you, I can see a new ball better.
That might be part of it.
There are times where I'll lose a ball that's been
the bald, darker ball.
It just gets dark. You don't see it as well. I don't look at the ball anyway.
Yeah,
that's hit the middle one, Sean. Hit the middle ball.
Yeah, I was always such a poor competitor in the rain, too, where you'd be at a tournament and, like, it'd be in a downpour and you just have to do it. And I was just like, what is even the point? Like,
you brought up Cleveland. It seemed like Cincinnati had a stretch of, like, 5 straight years, from, like, 2007 to 2012.
Yeah, where you were playing in rain. Yes.
Every year.
We should have the ability to go right to the video where Matt is in the middle of a match going like this. Why are we even here?
That is not an uncommon moment.
You were the guy with your hood up on your jacket.
Yeah. I used to tell people that, like, I'll do whatever you want lesson-wise, but when my socks get wet, we're done. Like, that's it. That's, like, if I've got wet socks, like, the day is over. And, it's not that bad. Yeah, for you. Like, my socks are wet. That's about as bad as it gets.
Yeah. B-Fish couldn't scrape that out. That was tough. Didn't think it was coming off the nick like that. We're back to 40-15 here.
Thanks, Sean, for getting us back on.
No, I'm just saying, they're still. This is still competitive here. They have. Well, he's still got a point here to hold and get back on serve here, or I should say, back to one break. Here in the third. Once again, if you just joined us, we are at the lovely Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois. I'm Sean Albrecht with Matt McClure, Jason Love, and of course Dr. Brian McCall and Cal Noble,
and
the
Andrew
new
Buchholz.
guy. Andrew Buchholz is here.
Eating a buffalo chicken sandwich that smells amazing. By
it does
the way.
smell good.
God.
Yeah.
And Chris and Cam do win the game, so
there it is,
2-1. Well, you know what they say, Sean. It's not a re-break until you re-hold.
I'm just glad we're not talking about the ball warmer stuff anymore. I was just starting to get squeamish.
I don't understand what the big deal is.
Yeah, exactly.
If you are lucky enough to be one of the people that, can find a pair of electric underwear in the second half of the paddle season, you just go ahead.
Is that Mike Brule? It looks like Mike Brule.
Is he here to play a match?
I think so. He's one of my favorite people if he comes into the booth.
Well, he does often represent Northmoor, so it wouldn't be a surprise.
It would be awesome. It is
Mike Brule in the
Brule.
hizzy.
What's happening? So we got 15 all. Go Northmoor. No, I can't say that right now. Anyway.
You can say whatever you want.
I appreciate that,
well,
Coach.
I'm going to say this, and I've made this very clear.
It's a great
through all
first
the weeks.
volley from D-Fish there, by the way.
One of the things that I want to do with this whole platform is highlight the clubs, the professionals, the programs, et cetera, right? And Mike Brule, a career lifetime professional. It's in his family, blood, and DNA.
Absolutely.
And the guy works his tail off.
Oh, he's the best.
And he's great on the court.
Great attitude all the time. Always got a smile on his face.
Great tan.
Oh, yeah.
But that's also why the Northmoor paddle program is so good, or part of the reason, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure.
He's little wild.
Yeah.
No question about it. Mike is just A-list. Absolutely. You just look up, the quintessential professional out there. That's Mike. Way to bail. I love it. Just run away.
Putting
wide.
the pressure on, forcing
like that.
Thing is, Cameron's talented enough to pull that off.
Well,
just taking a chance, maybe hitting it that deep.
I love the change of dynamic, right?
Yep.
We're here in the third set, and it's been fairly even, right? 6-4, 4-6.
Exactly.
Do something different.
Yeah.
People ask all the time, right? We'll get serious for a second. People ask all the time, when should you change strategy? This is a great time to change. Oftentimes we wait too long, but we're pretty even in this match. So everybody's doing kind of the same things, but you change the dynamic on your own terms, it might work in your favor.
Yeah, I think sometimes that change in strategy people view as like being more aggressive, right?
Yes.
And I think that's part of the problem is that some of it is like, okay, well, this is an opportunity. We have a little momentum and we can change our strategy. That's just as simple as like, let's start hitting our first attack overhead to this spot instead of that spot and
Right.
see how that point develops. It is not,
no harder. Just
yeah,
the
it's
same
not
speed.
like, well, let's step on the gas and, start hitting really aggressive shots all the time, which unfortunately is sort of.
No, there are times what you're willing to do. What does old coach tell me? What it's really what are you willing to? How much are you willing to change? I remember Coach McClure talking about a match he played where I would swear you lost the first set or something like that, and then your partner said, "We're not going to drive another ball.
Yep.
We're literally lobbing every single ball. Well, if we're at the baseline, we're not going to drive one ball to get back in this match." And sometimes that's kind of what you're going to need to do. It's not okay if you like to drive the ball. It's maybe not as much fun, but it's kind of like what are you willing to do?
Yeah, you kind of have to in order to reset momentum.
Yep.
Dan McGuire comes to mind in that regard, where both playing with him and playing against him, you just have these moments where he just can sense which direction the momentum's going.
Yeah.
And he's like, just don't drive it. Don't drive it
let
again.
that one go,
We're not
maybe.
going to drive it again until these guys are sick of us lobbing.
Yes.
And and then when that transition happens where they're just like, are we really going to stand out here for 4 hours? Then maybe we'll drive a ball.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But just being willing to be like, no. Every time I drive a ball, if somebody's hitting a drop shot volley, why am I even bothering?
Exactly.
Some might call it a drop volley, but I like to fully.
A drop shot volley.
It's a drop
Some
shot
call
volley.
me Tim. Shot.
For as
All right,
much.
30s.
Interesting. And again, 2 quick points there
Yep.
to bring it to 30 all.
Yep.
Just like how quick Andrew ate that buffalo chicken sandwich.
You know what?
Jesus.
Fun fact: he can hold his breath for 7 minutes while he inhales a buffalo chicken sandwich.
I think he's got a game going on with himself. Can he get it done
I
before
love the
this game?
tomahawk.
Yeah,
It's a cool
don't get me
idea.
wrong, he's good at it. Of
at
all
this.
the useful skills in the world,
It's
being
tennis
able
points.
to pound a chicken sandwich without taking on oxygen is pretty incredible. It's incredible.
Oh,
I had a
Little
lady
short.
ask me today, should I be breathing when I'm playing? I'm like, hey, Doc, do you want to answer that one?
I recommend oxygen.
all right. This is for a double break here for the Northmoor. What are we calling him now? Not
That's a
Armadillo.
smart play.
That's the idea.
Maybe
But
didn't
see,
fully
again,
commit,
Highwayman.
But he changed the dynamic on his
Yep.
own terms, right?
Sure did. Sure did.
I'm also noticing the change in pace on the average return here in the third set. I think
From
that,
Northmoor?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that Northmoor has started to really dial back some of the bigger swings, and so far they have made far fewer errors on their return as a result. They're just kind of placing the ball,
Yeah.
into the court,
Using the pace of the serve.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's a huge point, right? Like we talk about with club level
That
players.
is so annoying, by the way. I hate that.
I know, but the serve return first volley is like paying your mortgage.
Yeah.
Right? Like you want a house to live in, you just got to pay your mortgage.
Right.
Right. You got to make your serve. You got
I
to make.
love your analogy.
You got to make your return. And you make, but if the leagues
I've been kicked out
put you
so
in
many
the
times.
appropriate level, so
True.
everyone can hit the same shot that
It's
you can
true.
hit back.
Correct.
So just hit it.
Yeah.
They're gonna get it back and then play the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a handshake. You just move on.
Yeah.
I just don't know why we focus so much on making that like a winning or game-ending point.
There
You
is, and it does sort of, there is an element, I think, to, I used to coach that, the return might be your only opportunity to play offense
Oh,
in the
yeah.
point.
Finds the
So
nick
the key
again.
is to not waste it, right? But
Unbelievable.
trying to hit it so big that you're winning a free point, but it only works 1 out of every 5 returns, that is wasting it, right? And so,
Totally.
it's sort of difficult to find that line.
But then what am I going to talk about in the hut later?
That's
You know
true.
what that one shot, even though I lost 0-1.
I mean,
Sorry, Goose. We lost 0-1. Yeah.
talk to me, Goose. I think you're right, Matt, and I love that. Like the drive is the
Don't
only
take his
ball
time on
or
the
the only
greens.
shot that you know where it's going to land in theory.
It has to be short,
It has to
All right,
technically.
here's another break
Right? It's
point.
the only
Can
one
they
that could be
capitalize?
drivable.
Yep.
But
Exactly.
I think that it doesn't have to be hard or win the point to be effective.
Correct.
Right? To your point, Northmoor has slowed down their returns.
Yep.
And now they're
For sure.
blitzing off of it. They're making, or Glenview's missing volleys.
Yeah.
Right? Like it doesn't have to.
It still
win the
caused
point.
plenty of problems
Yeah.
because
Yes.
you're putting it in the court and it's warm enough where if you hit it 2 miles an hour, but it drops below the net. There's nothing easy about that volley.
Right.
Like, just,
What's the hardest shot in the game? The volley.
The volley.
I mean.
What's the most important shot in the game?
The volley.
The most important, hardest shot.
What's one of our sponsors? The volley.
The volley.
Is it the volley? It's like a...
Jason Love, master of segues.
Do we have a commercial we can throw in there?
We do. We will.
I want to see Madak hitting balls on the volley machine.
We will
That's
after
what I
this
wanna
set.
see.
I just like to watch Madak hit balls in any capacity.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah, the Roger Federer of the Midwest region.
it's the worst is because it looks like could he care less?
No, he's
And
just
then
he's
it's
so
so-
flowing. It's ridiculous.
so good.
Yeah,
There is one of those things. I don't know what it
That's
is.
great
Oh, that's
touch.
a great spot.
Great touch from Jake. So he smacks the first one, but the second one, to my point earlier, of course I'm going to refer to my point. What kind of selfish business is that? But the point is, he hit it and didn't really crush it. Hit
Yeah.
it just with enough touch. We're just going to be tough to get
That
back.
transition ball has to go soft because
Yes.
it's going to come back off the
Yep.
screen.
Yes.
All right, a commanding lead here for Northmoor. The question is, can the Glenview Mudhens come back? I'm pulling off of the
I'm
Toledo.
hoping for a
shit.
big comeback because I think I actually see Chris's parents, Dan and Sarah Williams, entering
Really?
the facility there to our right.
It's always nice to have family
Again,
here.
legends in
That's cool.
Chicago and the national paddle scene.
Grucci's got some afterburner speed. Sometimes he moves the wrong way and then he comes back. It's pretty
Sean, that's
impressive.
called under the age of 30.
I think we call that macho. Call that
He
talent.
also looks like he's been working out.
Yeah. I don't know what that looks like, but yeah. Wait. I'll agree with that. Whose baby is that?
Okay, congrats again, Sean. I don't know if I said it.
You weren't late on that one. No pun intended. Yeah, I'm a little late, so.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. It's funny. Come on.
All right, here we go.
I love that shot. Less is more. Good lob. 2 points from the match here are Groce and Fish. Now we're getting a little more conservative. And I don't mean politically. Look at that.
That's a great
perfect
volley.
touch.
Good
Great
shift.
touch from
So
Cameron.
good. But I love his move to the middle there
Yeah.
to cut that ball off. Very smart.
Yeah, he noticed the trend. He made the adjustment early.
You know, with shots like that, we should just flash his rate, hourly rate up on the screen, and just in case somebody wants to take a private.
Any good shot.
It was.
And he's got a great accent. You know?
He does. Nice.
I used to do that after I missed a bad one. When I would line up for a screen drive and then completely whiff it, I'd be like, lessons are 90 an hour.
Oh.
Goes after it.
That is a home court advantage bounce. That ball
All
did
right.
not dribble over the
Still
left
alive.
court.
Here we are, 5-2. I mean, how many people, including all of us in the booth, have been in a 5-2 third set? Yeah. It's real.
And I've lost it, yes.
Many a times.
I'm just saying.
Well, I do think that's one of the cool parts about paddle, right? I mean, watching high-level tennis get to a point in a set where it's 5-2,
Yeah.
you're kind of like, well, we're
Change
done
channel.
now. Yeah, like it just statistically is just not going to be that interesting very often.
No.
That is not the case in the world of paddle. We've seen plenty of sets at this point.
I'm actually going to say that
It's a big,
5-2.
good shot.
I would love to know the numbers. But like 4-1 in tennis, they say is the most statistically
Get over it.
broken advantage,
Uh-huh.
right?
Great point.
I would love to know the numbers on what 5-2 is in paddle.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some analytics out there somewhere from a,
Anybody know a guy?
we'll just ask Graham McNerney.
He'd know, actually.
Let's
Probably.
be honest.
He
He'll
would.
just he can
Great volley
run a
off that
report.
drive.
He's good at
Williams with
Excel.
that. I like that.
Oh,
That's really smart.
look
They
at this.
disguised.
the high backhand
Yeah.
where you get too casual and you
Yeah.
kind of just go like, oh, I'll just knock this into the court.
Well, not only that,
flick
you
it
know,
that
you know,
direction.
Yeah.
Chris Williams basically almost looked like he was going to drive it cross court, kind of flipped it up. over his-
Strong left hand. We talked about him being amphibious.
Yep.
You know, and he just kind of threw the left hand at it.
That's it.
It is so tempting as
Great
kind of
shot.
a
Look
nice
at that
move.
drive.
But
A
again,
nice move. That's a
Setting it
dangerous
up well.
spot, right?
Good lob by Chris down the line, right? The ball has to go cross court. Takes it to Pound Town.
I'm not going to touch that one.
We can edit
We
this
can't.
out of the broadcast.
Well, there's a lot of warming going on.
We have tens of listeners.
All right.
Doc, you want the headset back?
Yes,
Wait, no,
good
I'm being
touch.
told,
He's
stop,
there.
take the headset back,
He's there.
please. Yeah.
You know, that's actually so entertaining to me because under normal circumstances, there's just so much innuendo. But for some reason, that one doesn't have any in my mind. That one isn't like a, oh, yeah, I've totally heard that in reference to. Like, that's not a, that's not a 50-50.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
The best is I'm getting texts
Or
about the
15.
comments. So,
I mean, clearly you're doing something right.
again, is now a good time to remind everybody, text your questions and your feedback.
Sure.
I know I say it every week, but we love to hear from our viewers.
One way or the other.
No,
Yeah.
I think, again,
I've gotten positive feedback on the nerd references from our buddy Damien at the APTA.
There.
Oh, right into the
Nice.
camera.
Good cover.
And we appreciate him hanging out and
Absolutely.
watching paddle matches with us.
national. We're
For
national
sure, yeah.
now.
We're international at this point.
Damien, are you going to be here this weekend? You coming to the charities? Let's see if we get a text
See if
response.
he's still online.
Okay, so far this has been a hugely intelligent point by all parties involved here.
Yeah.
Well, I love their patience, right?
Yep.
We talked about the speed change, but that's
Into the camera again.
Yeah.
But that's the change of the rally, but also the
Just
change of
pick.
the speed of your shot.
It's a good touch.
Wow.
Oh,
That might work. He's there.
What a dig.
Okay, to your point there, being left-handed, huge advantage on that last ball.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
You know what I
point.
love there, and I love Chris Williams' drop shot.
Yep.
Right. Again, you're changing the dynamic
Right.
on your terms.
Not necessarily have to be a winner, just has
right.
to, force.
Making them move off their spot.
Exactly. 30-15, inopportune
Good news.
fault there.
Damien will be here. He just texted back.
Awesome.
We love it. We love the viewer interaction.
I think Pound Town just insulted Matt because he left the booth. Good shot. All right, so I want to say a point to hold here for Slabbert and Williams to continue to climb back into this third set. Once again, if you've just joined us, we are at the lovely Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois, watching, I believe this is Series 3, am I wrong?
This
Yes,
is
Series
Series 3.
Series 3, which is amazing, the levels and the depth we have here in the Chicago area for CPTC live stream. A little long there between the Glenview Club and Northmoor.
It is. We talked about it. What was that? Valley Low, right?
Yeah.
We were sitting there watching outside. It was beautiful. And we're like, man, this is a Series 2 match?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
But just look,
Love the
I'm a
idea.
numbers guy, right? So we have just about 6,500 men that play in
Okay,
Chicago.
we got a match point here, guys. Just FYI. But let's just see. It ain't a match point until you win it.
Those are the rules that I've just made up.
Can make them work for it here if they get it. Look
a
at
nick
that.
shot. A nick. Let's see how patient, how willing they are to be patient.
Exactly.
But the wind is kicking up. We can see everything blowing around us.
Yep. Making it particularly difficult to keep your feet moving.
Well, And
Touch.
oddly enough, again, Matt, I'd love, and Sean, your feedback with this too, but it's like, this is where I'd love to be on the backcourt. I'd love to be the Northmoor side here.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's harder.
Yeah.
It's harder to continue to move your feet and hit overheads than it is to back up and hit lobs.
Yep.
As hard as it is to control the ball in the wind,
And you
it's
could tell,
still
oh, he
difficult.
goes after
there
it.
it is.
A little bit.
You know what? I don't know. I don't have a problem with that one, only because, you know what? You
No.
do have a match point. You
That-
may as well take a shot.
And that's his forehand on the ad side. You
yep.
got to hit that ball.
Yep. Back to deuce here.
Absolutely the right shot. Oh,
All right. Pulling back into the driveway here. Can't seem to go on vacation. And they do. 5-4.
Wow. Look at
Come
that.
on. Bring it.
Fighting off match points.
See, the ratings are through the roof. Yeah, exactly. Very good, Doug.
so far we've had one match point.
So far, we've had one match point.
Yep.
So
Which wasn't one.
you know what I love, and again I do this a lot, but I'm going to give kudos to the great Rod Workman. Right, it's not a great match until both teams have match points.
Oh, I like that.
Right,
I've never actually heard
like it's
that.
not where you think
Yeah,
back.
it can be a good
I've
match.
never
It can be
heard
a
that.
good
Yeah.
match.
From
but-
But a
Rod.
great
From
match
Rod.
is like both teams having
Yeah.
opportunities and fighting them
Right.
off. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a good lob.
And yes, Damien, this is stressful, but less stressful for us in the booth as it is for the players.
Yeah,
out
I
there
kind of
playing.
not want to be. Yeah.
I'm curious to see who stays the most loose,
Oh,
right?
he gets away with it.
So
Nice
here's another
nick.
one for you, right? You talk about making players feel uncomfortable. The players that stay the most free and fluid when things get stressful almost always win.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Like if you're willing
They
to hit
also
the
don't
right.
get injured, apparently, according to Doc.
I did hear that, yeah. But I think if you're willing to hit the right shot, regardless of the score or the time of the match,
Sure.
you're gonna win.
Sit. Yeah. Look at the wind took that one a
Yeah.
little bit. I'm not giving it
Yeah, I
an
did. I
excuse.
think to Jason's point, that's what makes it tougher when you're up at the net like that. Is you can have, you can feel like you're set up, and then a little
Rip
gust
that.
will move the ball around.
Took a
and,
chance and ripped that kick serve.
Yeah, it's just harder
That
to hit that
worked.
overhead.
Yeah, and
As
if you
it's
already,
dropping.
if you thought you knew where it was going to be, and you
Yeah.
already shut your feet down,
30s.
and then it moves, 18 inches away from you, it's a serious
sure.
adjustment.
It's
It
a
stayed
problem.
in.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So sometimes you'll actually, if you just
great
know
drive.
your opponent, sometimes you can bait them into hitting a shot that maybe wouldn't be the highest percentage. So we've got a point just to pull.
Here we are. 5-all. I love it.
So we're back even on serve. Third set, Glenview Club, Glenview versus Northmoor.
I mean,
Planet Earth.
I don't know that
Cameron-
I don't know that I called it that it was
Cameron
going to come back
Slavert,
to
Chris
great,
Williams versus
even.
Jake Croce and Derek Fish.
But yeah, thanks, Doc. I did like I bum, like
Yeah.
I laid it out there like this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You definitely had more of a to be continued vibe than.
I mean, if we were on FanDuel, I would have won big by now.
Yeah. Or they would have offered to buy you out.
Yeah.
Right.
With that, like, maybe you still want to make some money here.
Fan drool, you don't know when you've won because we're just too old to realize what's going on.
Did I win? Am I
Yeah,
doing
exactly.
it? Am
How
I
did
doing
I
it?
do?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Pass me my liquid potato chips.
Oh, it's a good
Oh,
move.
great move by Jake.
Super. All right, he's going to get. Of course. I got. Oh. What am I? That's the nicest thing anybody ever said to me.
I meant it as count.
I wish. No, that's nice of you. That's nice of you. All right, patience. Look at this.
How do you spell paddle, guys?
P-A-T-I. Is that where we're going with this?
Yep. Thank you. You were there. You had it.
P-A-T-I-E-N-C-E.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Oh no.
okay. And again, It's not that Jake ripped that one, because he did not. That was just a block, but it was low enough where Chris maybe was surprised because maybe he thought he was going to have to eat that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. Jake does look ready for his steak sandwich.
Yeah, it's 15:40, guys. Should we tell them? They know.
I think they got it.
They got it? Okay.
I don't think we're allowed to tell them.
We're not?
No. If all four guys agree, whatever the score, no matter how wrong it is, it's right.
Yeah. We had to shut that down real early in the live stream where a match got kind of heated and they started looking in the booth for like line calls and we were just like, nope.
No, we're not doing
You
that.
look, the other way.
Great touch from Chris Williams. Wow.
Oh, wow. Is this ceiling popcorn or?
Did you see it? Nope, didn't see it.
Did not.
Nope,
Sorry.
Didn't see it.
But don't you have instant No.
Nope.
The drive was corrupted.
What are you talking about?
I was running low on Ethernet fluid.
No outline glaze. Nice pick, Sid.
Ethernet fluid.
Yeah, I was
What
sorry.
speedy. Jeez.
I ran out
turned on
of
the
router
afterburners
wax,
there.
and so it wasn't able to capture.
These are all terms I love. You gave me a hard time about Pound Town, but you're going Ethernet fluid and
I don't know
mean,
why.
there's a lot of things in the IT field that you just have to absolutely start to make up.
that I just don't know about. Yeah.
Well, and, I mean, the average person that's like, fix my iPhone, like, you could say anything, your flux capacitor isn't working correctly, and, they're just like, oh, well, what's that going to cost?
I hate it when my flux capacitor isn't working.
Well, I'm trying to buy a condo in Pound Town right now on the internet to see if what kind of no, I just kind of thought I'm just looking at the assessments on
What are the HOAs?
one. Yeah, exactly.
HOA on that one, yeah. That's too bad.
Oh, that might be the best line of the night.
Look at this point.
Oh, no.
Awesome.
And we
Oh, man.
Wow.
To go up 6-5.
Okay, are we destined for a breaker here, guys?
Oh.
I think so.
And both teams right now trying to quickly sell their place in Pound Town and just get out of.
Market's tanking. Market's tanking. Yeah, well.
This is our last stream.
Maybe it's... Good night, everybody.
I mean, it was nice working with everybody.
Maybe it's just my market.
There'll be a new team in here next week.
I can't believe it was my Pound Town comment that did it.
Yeah. Sometimes it just.
It's the inspiration.
Yeah. You're my muse for
you're
sure,
my inspiration,
Jason.
Jake.
Oh God.
All right.
I'm sorry to everybody. Yeah.
Good
You're
first
fine. We've
volley.
talked about this many times where
Okay,
the whole
probably
goal
was a lot
of this
there,
thing is
but
to
Cameron's so good.
be in the hut.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Cameron's so good. You know what? He probably should have allowed that ball, but he's so good, he probably could pull that off. So I don't blame him for
He
driving
just got
it.
trapped on his back foot,
Yeah.
which is usually.
He wasn't ready to drive.
Yeah.
Like if he was set up and ready, I'm all for it. ABD.
Ooh. And that's a case where the breeze can come back to bite you on that, like, desperation dig.
You betcha.
Did not clear the net
All right, 30-15.
with the wind in your face.
This is a good volley. Kind of,
hands.
by the way,
Oh, yeah.
Move in,
Yeah.
move
good
in.
idea it's a great idea to bail.
Well, in that last point of that last game, there was 3 transitions back and forth.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Good cover.
Got the neck. Good partner help.
Absolutely. Like the one-timer there. It's not
Got the
easy to
trailer
do.
trash ball out of there.
That's what I'm left for Pound Town. It's just trailers. That's it. I don't think there's anything left available in my price range.
Again, let's see how willing they're to be patient.
In there.
Oh, it's in. Great ball.
Oh, and it
dig.
works. Unbelievable. All right, point to get to the breaker
guess-
here.
Match points.
I guess the best part of the takeaway of tonight's commentary is that it's hard to get in trouble when a representative
just
of your
missed it.
sponsorship is in the hut egging you on. So I mean, it'll be
talking
difficult
about?
to get a call from. Oh, yeah. Oh, sure.
Sure.
Leave us hanging now.
Yeah, exactly. You were laughing. You were laughing hard. That was a belly laugh.
Well, that was a great shot.
Great play.
I think it this way.
Fighting off another match point.
Cut to.
Like a non-talented assistant pro.
I was always that guy.
Great return.
He bought it.
Yep.
I would love to see a tiebreak here.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Great return again.
It's
Nice.
his best shot is that backhand.
Yeah.
Backhand.
He has
Backhand
great
dominant.
control of it as well when he can play from different positions, right?
Yeah.
He gets a little jammed up on his body and he can still find a good target. Occasionally he ends up, up in the air a little bit
Sure.
to knock a ball down. And
He's got a great left hand, right? And we've talked about he's amphibious, so over and over. Doc keeps correcting me.
No.
I don't think Doc knows I'm
the
joking.
mesmerizer.
Here it is.
So we get to see a breaker for the third.
Yes. Here we go.
This is what
There's nothing
everyone
more
has
exciting.
been rooting for.
It's such a beautiful story. All right,
And
here we go.
in case everybody's wondering, you switch on 1, 5, 9, 13.
Yep. And then we start with a Coleman here. Coleman tiebreaker. So one, and then they switch, and then everybody serves a 2-point series from the deuce side. That way everybody serves on the same side.
Yep.
Throughout the whole tiebreaker. Probably the fairest way, and I don't mean that in a very handsome sense. When I say fair, I mean fair in terms of justifiability. Best way to play a breaker. Look at that.
I love the paddle tiebreaker.
Oh, okay. You know what? The talent is there. He's pulled that off before. I don't know if that's the best shot, but you know what? If I could do it, I suppose I'd.
I'm going to
try
put
to
that
pull it
on his youth a little bit,
Yeah,
right? Like
okay.
he sees a forehand, see ball,
Fair
hit
enough,
ball,
yeah,
right? But
yeah.
I love it. Again, my point is if the ball's there, you should hit it
Tomahawk.
regardless of the score.
Yeah,
Just like Chris's tomahawk there.
stylish. Yeah,
You should hit that ball.
maybe
yeah.
not that hard.
Yeah, well, I mean,
All right,
an execution
Exactly.
error is different than a decision error.
it's true. Boy, you said a mouthful there. Rev.
I slowed down to make sure I
It
didn't.
was good
slur
eye.
it,
Yeah.
you know?
Just drifted a little wide.
Well, I just feel like I gotta calm it down anyway. Otherwise, it's going to be like this. Yes, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. It wasn't me.
I'm sorry, I
didn't mean to do
go.
that.
I didn't mean to go to Pound Town.
I was just passing through, really. All right, 32. It's just such a friendly place.
Can we have Doc here every
The
week?
water.
This is the
Yeah,
best.
he's about to backseat commentate his way right into the show.
He's already done
Hey,
that.
what are you doing all weekend, Doc?
Nice dig.
Good switch at the net.
Yep,
They've done a good job of that, right? It gets confusing.
absolutely. Good communication, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, considering they let that one go from the baseline that went up the middle.
Again,
and neither
great
one got it.
drive there.
Yep.
Interesting.
Speed.
Yep.
Oh, he's there.
Oh, he got it.
Man, just range.
Again, under
Kinda
30.
full of- what a
Great
shot.
ball. And way to follow it in.
Yep.
Nice one. Dodge that thing.
I thought maybe that was going to drift wide.
I love
Great
that
shot.
overhead.
Yes.
That hard
Especially after
third
that.
to fourth panel overhead.
Exactly, especially after the dig
Yeah.
that D-Fish had to get. I know I'm calling him D-Fish
2-4.
like I know him, for years, but I just feel like the length of this match, I feel like I know them all.
I love the momentum swings. Oh,
It stayed
it's
in.
Wow.
It stayed in. That's the benefit
He's
of
feeling it a little
the
bit right
magic
now,
of topspin.
right?
Yeah, you can tell on the
Can he-
targets that he's picking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, he's hitting outside edges and closing on, backhand volleys.
And this is where it'll be interesting
got a
to see,
hold of
can
that thing.
can he keep it within a little bit more of a box?
Right.
Right? Like
Exactly.
be you, but you in a little bit smaller box.
Right.
All right.
I just saw one of the hardest drives I've seen in a long time.
Got flexed off for a volley. Yeah.
Over there on court 2. Jeez, it made a loud noise.
That's the cool thing about the way our video crew, including Coach McClure, and of course, the new guy, Cal Noble, has set the cameras up. You can actually pick up a little bit of the action on the other court, which I always find entertaining.
Andrew, can you confirm that skeet shooting opens this weekend at the Glenview Club? I love that. There's nothing better than when charities opening charities weekend.
6-2.
Look at this.
Somebody call Rod Work. It's about to be a great match.
Yeah, this is it. Now both teams have had a match point.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh,
Great move.
Unbelievable.
He took the bull by the horns on that one and went in and got it
The
himself.
dejected, irritated walk away with a great point, only making it 6-3.
And this is where you got to realize you just got to keep going, right?
That's lefty
you need
magic
one
right
point
there. Yep.
before they get 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll take that math. This has been great paddle. Or great math, you know what we said? Yeah. It only takes 1.
That's good bass.
I can still hear my dad saying, you
That's
only
it.
need to win 1 point.
Oh, he got
There
it.
it is.
Good
Team down
match.
5-2.
Unbelievable.
5-2, turning it back into a victory.
I'll take Venmo or cash.
Yeah, that is a great Series 3 match that we were able to live stream this evening here from Glenview Club. Thank you for joining us. Thank you once again to IBJI for providing
Dr.
Dr.
Brian
McCall and getting some commentary
And Wintrust
here
Bank and Volley and
for the live stream, and everybody who supports us in general.
Yeah.
Which is half of which you can see on the snowboards right now, getting ready for Chicago Charities.
Thank you,
coming
coaches.
up this weekend, and so you'll be tuning into the APTA Platform Tennis Network on that YouTube channel, or you can check out the APTA website.
Yeah.
Also, our tournament director, John Noble, and Jason Love.
Andrew
in the
Buchholz, don't
house.
forget
Andrew
the
Buchholz,
director.
yeah. So you guys will now not sleep for, you got about 72 hours of no
I'm just
sleep
staying
to
here.
get this right.
Hey, Andrew, I'm just going to lay down in this.
Andrew is blowing up an air mattress in the back right now to get ready for the weekend. So we've enjoyed this, and we will see you next week for the Chicago Platform Tennis live stream, and then obviously this weekend for Chicago Charities. Have a good night.
You betcha.
Not your bank's top priority? Here at Wintrust, we take a different approach to banking. No hidden fees or runarounds, but a true banking partner focused on your unique financial goals. Whether you're opening your first account, found your dream home, planning for the future, or starting a business, we have the financial solutions to get you there. Stop settling and start experiencing a better way to bank. Wintrust, different approach, better results.
From the heart of Chicago up to the North Shore and stretching from the northwest suburbs down to Kankakee. From urgent in-office care to virtual in-home visits, we're making orthopedic care available wherever and however you need it. Because while we're adapting our lives to keep each other safe, we know that new injuries will happen and old injuries